Wakey, wakey. Hello, good morning, and many thanks indeed for joining us here on Morning Prime, the Friday of the 21st June 2024. And I'm glad that you've chosen KT News to inform you, of course, this morning and give you incisive news as far as the current state of play is concerned here in the country. Trusting that you had a lovely restorative night and you're ready. And of course, we know the current state of play with the tension in the country, with the youth revolt, and they are not flinching. They have gone to the streets and now they are demanding for their rights. They're not rowing back as far as the Finance Bill 2024 is concerned. We shall be looking at that and a raft of other issues as well as far as uongozi in the country is concerned. Where you're joining us on uongozi today, where we keep them honest as far as leadership and governance is concerned this morning. We're joined already in studio by our panelists. We shall be unveiling their faces just momentarily. But before we head there, let's see how the weather will be today. Ruto, you betrayed us. That is what is on the front page of the Standard this morning. Fresh off the press today, Gen Z's message to President. After more than 200 MPs voted to push through unpopular proposals in the 2024 Finance Bill, the opposition joined protesting Kenyans from across the country, including the president's home backyard, in denouncing the move, with Gen Z's telling President Ruto, "You have failed Kenyans." And you have the full coverage of this on page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 of the Standard today. And also we have a protester in Eldoret saying, quote unquote, "I am Abel Misoi from Kambi Samaki," where President Ruto said chicken. He sold the chicken, I should say, as a hustler. We voted for the president, expecting that he will create job opportunities for the youth. But right now, many young Kenyans are leaving Kenya for other countries. You, that is Ruto, should stop forcing unpopular policies down our throats. And you have a list also of how they voted. Here are the list of those who voted yesterday for yes. We can just go by them. We have Samuel Chepkonga, Ainab Koi. We have Benjamin Kipkirui from Bureti constituency. Marianne Kitani from Aldai. Florence Chematai, Baringo, that is the women rep for Baringo. We have Joshua Kandei, Baringo Central. Cape Coros Makipal, Baringo North, voted yes. Charles Kamuren, Baringo South. Koech Nelson from Belgut, yes. Alpha Miruka, Bomachage Chache, that is yes. Lynette Chepkorir, Bomet Women Rep, yes. Richard Cheriot, Bomet Central, yes. Yegon Richard, Bomet East, yes. Gideon Ochanda from Bondo, yes. Catherine Wambilianga from Bungoma, yes. Coming Going Kibet, M. Gwen, yes. Rindikiri Mugambi from Buri, yes. Kirima Ngushine from Central Elementi, yes. Victor Koech from Chepalungu, yes. Diego Paul Kibichi from Cherangani, yes. Patrick Ntriga, Chuka Egambe Ngombe, yes. Faramalim from Dadaab, John Kiare, Dagreti South, Musa Sirma, Eldama Ravine, Eden Kenan Elders, Caroline Gilechei, Elgeo Marquet, Lelemengit, Joses, Emurua Dikir, Omboko Milemba Emohaya, Johanna Ngeno, Emuria Dikir as well. We have also Robert Pukose and Debes. We have Yakub Farah from Fafi. And we have Charo Kazungu Ganze from, of course, that Charo Kazungu voted yes. Baro Deko, Garissa Township. Guyo Ali Wario from Garsen, yes. Edward Wakili Ganze, yes. Karuria Njoroge, Gatundu North, yes. Allow me to just also flip over to page 8 so that we can continue with the list as well to find out how your MP voted, if it was yes or no. And of course, this is a yes list. Let's flip over there where it continues apace. This is where it is. And we have also, let me just try and, Robert Gishimu from Gishugu, Martha Wangari Gilgil, Gimose Gumini from Amisi. We have also Karithi Kiili, Igembe Central, Julius Taitumu, Igembe North, John Paul Mwairigi, Igembe South, Ali Abdi Ali, Isiolo North, Bernard Shinali, Ikolomani, Mumina Bunaya, Isiolo, Titus Lote, Kacheliba. We have Lea Sankaire, Kajiado, Memusi Kanchori, Kajiado Central, Onesmus Gogoyo, Kajiado North, Suinkuya George, Kajiado West, Chege Njuguna, Kandara, John Makali, Kandui, Peter Irungu, Kagema, Fabian Hule, Kangundo, Moroto Samuel, Kapenguria, Oscar Suri, Kapseret, Ronald Karauri, Kasarani, Adams, Kipsanai, KO North, Gideon Kimayo, KO South, Beatrice Kemei, Kericho, Julius Ruto, Keses, Christopher Aseka, Huisero, John Kwanjiku, Kiamba, Waedhaka John, Kidangop, Wamuradha Wanjiku, Kiambu, Mwenge Mutesi, that is Mwenge Mutuse, I should say, Kibwezi West, Jiroge Wainaina, Kidangop, Joseph Munyoro, Kirinyaga Central, Ndindi Nyoro, Kiharo. We have Kimani Ishungwa, Kikuyu, Owen Baya, Kilifi North, Didmas Baraza Kimilili, Gonzi Rai, Kinangop, Kwenya Dhuku, Kinangop, Wanjiku Mohia, Kipipiri, Cherorot Joseph, Kipkelion East, Hilary Koskei, Kipkelion West, Joseph Gitari, Kirinyaga Central, Nimrod Mbai, Kitui East, Rush, that is Rachel Nyamai, Kitui Central, Japheth Nyakundi, Kitutu Chache North, Yegon Richard, Konoin, Alfred Mutai, Kuresoi North, Joseph Tunoi, Kuresoi South, Katayama Maisori, Kuria West. We have Matthias Robi, Kuria West, Ferdinand Wanyonyi Kwanza, Mohamed Hussein Lagdera, Jen Kagiri, Laikipia County, Mwangi Kiunjuri, Laikipia East, Sarah Korore, Laikipia North, Stephen Karani, Laikipia West, Joseph Lekuton, Laisamis, Mudoni Marubu, Lamu County, Ruaida Obo, Lamu East. We have Stanley Mudama, Lamu West, Kahangara Joseph Lari, John Chege Kiragu, Limuru, Prota Sakuja Loima, Chief Oromodo Mangale from Magarini, Kareke Mbiuki Maara, Caleb Muli, Machakos Town, Mululu Injendi, Malava, Sheikh Bashir, Mandera North, Umuluher Hasim, Mandera County, Abdul Haro Ibrahim, Mandera South, Yusuf Eden Haji, Mandera West. We have also Wamua Njoroge Maragua, David Bowen, Marakwet East. We have Kipchumba Toroitich, Marakwet West, Naomi Wako, Marsabit County, Eric Mwangi Kahugu, Madira. We have Kasim Sawa Matuga, Peter Oscar Nabulindo Matundu. This was also the list of them that were absent. Abdi Shurie, that is from Balambala, Majandok Benjamin Emuhaya, James Gakuya, Embakasi North, Irene Njoki Bahati, Haribaye Said Galole, Lomwa Samuel Isiolo, Jen Mainanjeri Kirinyaga, Shakil Shabir Kisumu East, Donya Doris Kisii County, Honorable Bernard Kitur, Nandi Hills, Mohammed Ali from Nyali, also Yakub Ado Fafi, Tubi Mohammed from Mandera as well. And we continue this list just to give you an inkling of how they voted as well. We'll be running it by you as we continue. Let me just follow up here so that I'll be unfair to the others if I don't read the entire list. It continues the pace on top here. We're almost there. And this is Geoffrey Kariuki, Mau Narok, Bernard Miruki, Mbere North, Elizabeth Kai Lemia, Meru County, Kiborek Ruben Mogotio, Barto Phyllis, Moiben Kuya Kimani Molo, Abraham Kirwa Mosop, Faisal Bader, Msambweni, Fred Kapondi, Mount Elgon, Rashugia John, Makroini, Johnson Naika, Mumias West, Betty Maina, Muranga, Musioka, Vincent Mwala, Mary Maingi, Mwea, Jane Kihara, Naivasha, Liza Chelule, Nakuru, David Gikaria, Nakuru Town East, Samuel Arama, Nakuru Town West, Cynthia Muge, Nandi County, Rebecca Tonkei, Narok County, Aramat, Lemanken, Narok East, Gabriel Tongoyo, Narok West, Emmanuel Wangwe, Nabaholo, George Hashugwa, Daragwa, GK Karaoke, Nidhi, Charita Kadimbi, that is Kadambi, Njoro, Guyo Ade, North Hor, that is North Hor, Rahim Dawood, North Imenti, Joash Nyamoko, North Mugirango, Jerusha, Momanyi, Nyamira County, Faith Kitau, Nyandarua, Zahiri Jahanda, Nyaribari Chache, Rehab Mukami, Nyeri County, Duncan Madenge, Nyeri Town, Michael Mushira, Oljerok, Kiraho David, Ol Kalao, Michael, that is Michael Wainaina Odaya, and David Kosing, Pokot South. And the list will go on because we're talking about almost over 200 or 210 there of the constituents. I'll read the rest of the list much later in the course of the program. But that is the standard. A youth revolt, this is what is on the front page of the Daily Nation today. And the flag reads, demos, leaderless, partyless. The Generation Z protesters have one common enemy with the scarecrow quotes there. Thousands of young Kenyans from across the country yesterday joined protests against the Finance Bill 2024, demanding that the controversial tax plan be thrown out altogether, even as the clampdown by President Ruto and their swelling numbers should send a message after the clampdown by President Ruto, and the swelling numbers should send a message to MPs and their parties who they want. We are watching you, and you have a story fleshed out for you on page 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, and 11 of the Daily Nation today. And you can see telling pictures there of how it went down yesterday. Demonstrators shouting slogans yesterday in Nairobi during protest against the controversial finance bill, which started on Tuesday, have spread across the country. And more information also, President urges MPs to pass bill, and they did. MPs yesterday voted to pass the Finance Bill 2024 through the second reading. Treasury warns of big budget cuts. The total rejection of the bill will open a 200 billion shillings revenue hole. This is what CS Njuguna is saying from Treasury. On goals, foul play and tight defense in day of street fights. How protesters engaged police across the country. Town and cities where Kenyans youth protested against finance bill also. It is highlighted here, looking at the map of Kenya. Lodwar they were on, Nyanyuki they were on, Meru were on, Nakuru was switched on, Nyeri also as well, Embu, Kiambu, Nairobi, Machakos, Kisumu, Kisii, Kericho, Kakamega, Eldoret, and also Taita Taveta, Kilifi, Mombasa. They continue apace today with the protest, so we'll see how that will go on today. How your MP voted on bill. President William Ruto won the first round in the battle, it says here, of the Finance Bill 2024. All right, let's see what we have on the sidebar. CBC here to stay. That is what the rule from the court has determined. Justice Hedwig Onguldi, John Chigiti and Anthony Ndungu yesterday directed the Education Cabinet Secretary to formulate laws that will align CBC with legal structures in 120 days. This story is on the back page of the Daily Nation this morning. Wise Lane Magistrate had to cancel bail for fraud suspect. Find out the details also inside the publication today. Let's see what the Star is holding for us. 204 MPs vote yes as demos hit major towns. This is what is on the front page of the Star today. Tech savvy youth mobilize heavily via social media should say. MPs in heated exchanges in Parliament. That is what the flagger is reading here. Gen Z spark physical fairness, fighting day, long singing of the national anthem, dancing and tweeting. This story on page 2 and 4 and 5 of the Star. Telling pictures there. And you can see how the wheelbarrow also came down in Eldoret. A protester here pulls down UDA party's wheelbarrow symbol in Eldoret town on Thursday. Of course, and you can see also a demonstrator kicks a tear gas canister during the protest in Nairobi, and the Tourism Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua consoles David Maina, a policeman who lost both his hands after a tear gas canister exploded at Nairobi West Hospital. President William Ruto at Garissa University 5th graduation ceremony. That is how it went down. The police also using excess force, and one of them was affected, losing his hands, as you can see it here. Remember to have your pull-out magazine, Siasa, that comes in handy for you every Friday in the Siasa or the Star. What happens to ODM party's stronghold after Raila exit? That is what they're focusing. And the People Daily, House of Blackmail. Treasury warning to Parliament of cash cuts. Arm twist. MPs to push finance bill to another stage despite countrywide protest by young people. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 14 of the People Daily is where you can follow this story. Officers in Ruto men kidnap claim and now to face murder charges. That is also what is inside the People Daily this morning. Tafakari. That is the splash today. Is maandamano vijana katika maeneo tofauti ya nchi jana waliendelea kutoa onyo kwa serikali kwamba wako tayari kutetea maslaha yao ya kuandamana kwa amani. And you can see the pictures are very telling how it went down yesterday. This is from Kisumu, Nyeri, Kisii, Nakuru, Eldoret and Nairobi as well. Storm over 200 billion shillings treasury budget cuts amid blackmail claims is what is on the front page of the Business Daily this morning. And you can read the rest of the details on page 2 of the publication today. Heineken Kenya tycoon fight heads to Supreme Court. Beer maker Heineken has moved to the Supreme Court seeking a stay of a decision granting Ngugi Kiuna more than 1.7 billion shillings for terminating a distributorship agreement, and Sanlam to wind up 3 subsidiaries as laws go up. And ex-BOC chairman raises his stake. Ex-BOC chairman Ngugi Kiuna raised his stake in the company to 11.2% in the year to March 2024 from 8.5% in a year earlier. And you can follow the story on page 8. Kenya foreign direct investment flows dip 12 billion shillings on red tape. Kenya's foreign direct investments inflows fell about 12 billion shillings last year. Findings of an annual survey by United Nations agency has showed this. You can follow the story on page 14 of the Business Daily. In Uganda, they're reporting about Kenya. This is a Daily Monitor. Kenyan youth erupt revolution. Long considered a disinterested lot in matters of national politics, President William Ruto's government gets a rude awakening as Kenyan youth erupt in a countrywide demonstrations over tax and bread and butter issues and take destiny of the country into their own hands. You have a story on page 2 and 3 of the publication today. And also still on the front page of the Daily Monitor, you have your scoop. Blue 3 comeback. Will return be worth the long wait? That's a question. In Tanzania, police misconduct. Will rule of law ever prevail? That is a question that is inside the Citizen this morning. Thousands of young Kenyans protest tax hikes. The recent detention of online journalist Dina Maningo, held without bail or court appearance for a week, has reignited concerns over police actions, even though she and 2 others were released on June 20th. You have a story inside the publication on page 2. Banks paid 3.9 trillion shillings in taxes over 3 years, report shows. This is on page 3. And government moves to protect people with albinism. On page 2 is where you can follow the story if you're waking up in Tanzania. Thousands of young Kenyans protest tax hikes is a story also that is carried in the Tanzanian publication there, The Citizen. We cross over to Uganda, where formal financial inclusion in Rwanda grew 39% in 2020-2024. Rwandans who have access to any form of financial products or services grew to 96%. And you have a story on page 3. Africa should aim for new vaccines, therapeutics. This is what Kagame is saying. You can follow the rest of the details inside the publication as well. High taxes and debt threaten East Africa growth. Finance ministers have presented expanded expenditure plans for 2024-2025, outlining physical measures that will cause more pain to households and struggling businesses. You have a story on page 4 and 5 of the publication this morning. Also on page 8, Uganda rebels mess up bid to route M23 in DRC. Northern Corridor transporters miles shift to Dar. And Mandela's party ANC in uncharted waters with DA. And of course, we know the latest information is that they have sworn in President Cyril Ramaphosa for the second time. In China, we have the global edition. She emphasizes ecological conservation. That is what you need to also read about. The Economist, the rise of Chinese science, welcome or worrying? That is a burning question. And also you can read the rest of the details all the time. If he wins, and this is the face of Biden, this is a story there by Massimo Calabresi, I should say. Earlier on, they had the picture of Donald Trump in the last edition of the Time magazine. And if he wins, just following up with what is happening in the US with elections which are upcoming. The week, hawks in charge. What's stopping Netanyahu and Hamas from reaching a ceasefire deal? That is a burning question, and you can grab a copy of it as well. All right, this has been the story. Zakayo car, come down, climb down. Zakayo still perched on the tree there with his purse, or the tax purse. This is what is causing all the furor in the country as far as taxes is concerned, and the youthful faces have taken action. Still, the finance bill, looking down there, the protests, it's burning, it's fire, it's hot, and we're waiting to see what will be the turnout today as well. All right, let's see the faces that we have this morning. I want just to introduce to you Kipruto Arapkirwa, who is a governance and policy analyst. Also, we have with us Dr. Evans Kidero, a governance and policy analyst as well. We have with us Professor Jonah Kindiki, who is also a policy and governance analyst. Will be joined later by Professor Alfred Omenyere as well, who is a governance and policy analyst. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning to you.
Thank you very much. And of course, we should extend a hearty welcome on this table to Dr. Evans Kidero as well. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you.
My pleasure.
of course, these are regular fellas here, Professor Jonah and Kipruta Rafkirwa. Maybe they also should extend a hand of welcome.
They're both my friends.
They're both your friends.
Yes.
All right. On this particular forum, of course, you've never met together.
And you might want to know that Honorable Kiro was my schoolmate.
Oh, really?
Yes. He was our head student.
In Mangu High School?
Mangu High School. Which other school?
Okay. Also, this leadership streak has been there since since the early days.
Professor is a good friend of mine.
Professor is a good friend of yours? Okay. How was he in school? Was
he
this self-effacing hammer?
He was not cheeky.
He was not cheeky?
And
you are the cheeky one.
Or is he suggesting I'm not cheeky?
It turned out to be cheeky.
Unfortunately, we didn't have mobile phones those days.
So you wouldn't have actually
life
tweeted.
was very laborious.
Kiro, how was he?
Well, he was a leader. He was a very good head student, and deputized by some guy who was slightly older than him, called Masharia.
Isaac Masharia.
Isaac Masharia, yeah. I was in Form 1 then, and he was in Form 6. Yes.
It was his turn as...
we used to fear him.
Okay. He was a fearful guy, very lanky, very tall, and but he had good leadership traits.
Very good leadership trait, and a very nice jacket, maroon.
He was a smart guy as well.
Yeah. And in Form 6, they had, for the prefects, they had maroon jackets, different from the other students. Yeah. And we used to admire. Later on, when he left, I also became a prefect.
You became a prefect. All right. Thank you very much. Professor Jonah Kiniki, thank you for joining us as well this morning. All right, a lot has happened, and looking at the week, and just maybe even taking a trajectory from where we began, because we're having these conversations here, and people were saying, you know, if the government does not really come and speak very strongly, and the center is not speaking to the periphery, then the periphery will really come to the fore and take matters to their own hands. And this is currently what is happening in the country. This was very unexpected. No demonstrations of this kind has ever been seen in the storied history of this country, so to speak. Maybe let's just begin with you. What has been your highlight?
Well, a number of things. One, this is a very young population, and the demonstrations were not led by any politician.
Yes.
Which for me is more dangerous. More dangerous in the sense that they can pick one of their own, or they can pick one leader who may not be the best for this country and run away with it. So it worries me, because when demonstrations were led by certain leaders, we knew if the alternative is that leadership, those are people that we could identify. But up to now, we don't know the face of this particular demonstration, and it is dangerous, to say the least. And the second issue is that I would expect the government to improve its communication. Perhaps it's not even about the bill. It may be about the way it has been communicated. Remember, our young man from Molo was telling us, if you don't want car circulation, you don't have to drive. Or if you do not want taxes to be levied on your produce, you can go to Uganda, then you export to Kenya. You know, some of those statements mark some level of arrogance, which is unnecessary. So what I would want to urge the administration of the day is to improve their communication so that they do not display any level of arrogance, because the public is a bit sensitive today. Any information, these young men and women can be gotten from any corner of this country within the shortest time possible. Finally, I think we need to realize that it is not about the government of the day. If we don't watch, this country can go to a situation that is not necessary and is not desirable. My prayer is that all Kenyans must collectively see how to manage this kind of transition from the older generation to the younger leadership. Because as you see, most of those people in the street are 40 years younger than our president. This therefore means we are 4 generations away from the people in the street. And we are likely to lose them. And when we lose them, we lose the country. And I also wanted just a piece of correction. I could see among the names, my area member of parliament is different. Simiu is my area member of parliament. And Emurwa Dikir was repeated
Twice, yeah.
Twice.
I noticed. Yeah.
And the constituency was allocated to Lelmengit. Lelmengit is the member of parliament for Mkwen, Engineer Lelmengit. So those are some of the typos that I think
we need to correct. Thank you for that.
correct, yeah.
All right, thank you, thank you. All right, let's hear from Jonah Kindiki. Good morning.
Good morning, Divar.
Yes.
Yeah,
A student from Mo University, or you've been teaching, or they're vacant?
Yeah, but you see, it's really very challenging for the entire country to have a very young group of people protesting against the elderly group, because I can face a generational conflict between the young and the old. And this was not expected actually by many of us. It just came up. And this may grow to become a suppression group, but if not well managed, it may change to become a political group and a political party. Because actually, if you look at the history of revolutions, that's how revolutions begin. And then if they are not well managed, then they become a political party or political group, which has a lot of pressure to the whole country. And I think, as my colleague has alluded, it's the way I look at it is just one is about the generational, conflict. What the elderly and the young people take as values and virtues according to what they think that the governance and leadership of the country should be. And this is a change. And sometimes it's very difficult to stop a change, but a change can be managed. And if it's managed positively, it can be good for this country. And I want to say that our police force, they really restrained themselves. We didn't get so many ugly situations as maybe people expect that sometimes when there's such a kind of group that's demonstrating, there will be very many casualties. If any, there were just very few and unfortunate, if any. But we have not seen a lot of it happening. And I think it's a wake-up call for all of us that these are our children. These are our children. Some of them have just finished university education or college education, and others are just in the university, and others are maybe job seekers and so forth. So I think this huge population of young people, we need to take care of it, so that it doesn't look like maybe the parents are not listening to what they are saying. Because actually, if you look at the gap, the age gap between those people in the streets and those who are in leadership in various cadres, can carry it from all the way from the ward to the constituency, to the county, all the way up the ladder to the national level. There's a huge gap between the age gap between those who are the demonstrators and those who are in the position of leadership. And I think it's not only to be taken at the national level. This is actually from the grassroots, because these young people, if you look at what is portrayed there, they were in Nairobi, Mombasa, Nakuru, and they are spreading, and they are not only in the city. So we are saying, I think this is what maybe the young people see us doing right from our villages, the ward, or constituency, the county levels, and all those. And I think we need to have responsible leadership and try to manage our young people so that the situation doesn't go out of hand. But so far, I think we have had them. They have been decent. Even the members of parliament, although the voting went the way, it went yesterday. But for me, I think some of them lack information. I think so. I don't know. But I tend to think the communication, how information is communicated, because I talked to one person, one young person the other day, and then I asked, why are you really going the street to demonstrate? They say, we don't understand this thing you are calling finance bill. Some of them, they might be educated to some level, but the issues of governance and leadership, they may not really No, and I think it's a high time that these issues are explained to our young people, right from the low levels of governance, even to the higher levels of governance. So we don't tag one area and say it's at the national level only. But I think the way we handle our young people, I think is put to question to the elderly generation, that this is not the time when we used to say children come from somewhere. They know they are born, that's all. And it's open. But when we were growing up, we were told children are bought, I don't know, they come from here, and it's something secret.
Right.
But now, these days, they know children are born, there's a biological, process that takes place, and you cannot hide as a parent and say, these are children, I'll hand them. They read, even if you hide, they read from books.
Right,
so I think it's that kind of communication which is maybe a missing link, but I think somehow, it will be sorted out very soon.
All right, Dr. Kidero, your sentiments as well?
I think, we just need to be sensitive about generational change. If you look at the Kenyan population profile, over 60% is below the age of 24. And the average age in Nairobi is about 23. And most of this young generation, or the youth and mid-adults, you call them keyboard warriors. Keyboard warriors, though the papers is calling them keyboard complainers. But their time is very, very different from our time. Because when we grew up, we were to be seen and not to be heard. But these guys, they're in connection, they're connected all over the world. I know that in the last few elections, they were not registered to vote. They've been disinterested in politics. But we have, us as leaders, we've not been responsible. And I'll agree with Honorable Kirwa and Professor Kindiki that a better job needs to be done in terms of communication. Because if you look at this finance bill, it is in about 7 or 8 parts: the income, the corporate income tax, the income tax where we have withholding tax, there's PAYE, there's VAT, Tax Procedures Act, excise duty, and also the other acts which are supposed to be amended.
The eco levy, that still also is a big worry for...
Yeah, if you go through it, there are good bits. There are many good parts, but also there are parts, obviously, which should not see the light of day, especially the bits that are not supporting the climate change programs and projects. So if time was taken to explain that these are the things, I don't think we should throw away the
entire finance bill.
The entire finance bill, because I've gone through it. If he's improving PAYE, if he's improving the bottom line of what we take home, why should we throw that away? But I think all is not lost, because we went through the second reading. And next week it is going to the committee of the whole House, where they're going to go through the bill clause by clause. And the ones which obviously are untenable must be amended or must be dropped altogether. But the major point is that there should have been communication, even just to communicate on what the processes are. Because some people think that because the bill was passed yesterday and the second reading was done, it is a fait accompli. It's not yet a fait accompli. There's still time for discussions, and there's still time for amendments. Because even some of the most contentious was like the one you mentioned about VAT on bread, the
motor vehicle circulation tax.
Motor vehicle circulation tax, the zero rating, or rather the removal of exemption of sugarcane transport. These were dropped even before it came for voting yesterday. So I believe there's still time for there's still time for review, and there's still time for amendment. And by the time we go to the third reading after the committee of the whole House, we should be in a much better place. But a lot more time and resources must be spent on communication and education.
Right. I want just to maybe you clarify when you say all. Yeah. Also, maybe the PAYE will improve. In what way? Because we have shift really coming in, NHIF is going up, some of these taxes are going also to suppress it a bit at the end of the day. Is it going to be making any discernible difference with the
no, certainly. I mean, if you look at it, the amount of money that you're allowed to spend if you are doing renovations, especially for first-time homeowners, the band has been increased. The money that if you travel, you are only allowed 2,000 tax-free. Now it's gone up to 5% of the gross salary. I mean, there are many, many items that if you drill through the bill, you'll find are advantageous. But there are also others. Take, for example, removal of VAT on mosquito repellents, manufacturing ingredients. I think that's a good thing. It's going to make, because Kenya, I mean, nearly 30% of deaths in the rural areas is due to malaria. So anything that is going to reduce malaria is fine. I mean, putting VAT on X-ray or cancer diagnostic or treatment equipment, obviously that's not going to see the light of day when it goes to the committee of the whole house.
All right, let's leave it at that so that we'll take it up much later by setting the tone on how also it went down yesterday, where members of parliament have passed the controversial Finance Bill 2024 despite massive protest from Kenyans countrywide. 204 members of parliament, mainly from the government side, voted to ensure the unpopular bill sails through second reading, compared to 115 who fought for the defeat of the bill. As we'll now shift to Tuesday, when the Finance Bill 2024 will be subjected to amendments during the Committee of the Whole House. And as KTN's senior political affairs reporter Daniel Kiruki now reports, the opposition claims the House has been held captive by the executive, while Kenyans view those who backed the bill not just as betrayers, but also as the enemies of the state or the people.
Afternoon session.
For the second day running, members of parliament engaged in a heated debate over the controversial Finance Bill 2024 that has raised political temperatures in the country, the two sides pulling to their sides.
Order, honorable members.
The MPs Thursday were scheduled to vote on the bill and decide if the bill would move past the second reading and into the Committee of the Whole House, where amendments, among them those proposing the removal of some taxes, would be considered.
I'll now put the question, which is that the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 30 of 2024, be now read a second time. As many as of that opinion say aye. As many as of the contrary opinion say nay. Order.
The House going on division, forcing the MPs to vote for the bill physically. And when the tally was over, those voting ayes won.
The results of the division on second reading of the Finance Bill 2024 is as follows. Ayes 204, nays 115, abstentions nil, so the ayes have it.
The win coming despite protest within the Central Business District and various parts of the country. And immediately Azimio MPs stormed out of the chambers, up in arms, accusing the Kenya Kwanza side that had carried the day of not being considerate to the feelings of Kenyans.
After pumping a lot of sense on the heads of our colleagues, they could not listen. They could not agree with us, and looks like we lost the bill in a very draconian manner because people were impervious to reasoning. People do not want to hear anything that is good, anything that is bad with this bill.
Hawa watoto walijitokeza tu kusema hawajafurahia. Serikali ambayo inalinda watu ni ile inasikiza watu. Kwa hivyo ninaomba kwa kunyenyekea sana, nyinyi police officers ambao mnapiga watoto wetu matia gas, na ninasikia hata kuna wale wameumia. Sisi tunawatetea hapa bungeni, na tukitengeneza serikali yetu hata nyinyi mtakuwa beneficiaries.
We want the government to know one of the things they may not be telling people here, that the children of members of parliament from both divides are the ones in that maandamano. If you are a listening government, please take action.
Earlier, the MPs were divided over the contents of the controversial bill.
Because the work of the Committee on Finance is to look for ways to raise money to finance the budget that has been passed. Are they saying that they were unable to look for money to finance the budget that we passed last week?
This being a money bill, we must get the concurrence of the National Treasury. And there is reason as to why the drafters of our Constitution, Article 114, put that particular provision of concurrence with the National Treasury.
You know, the work of opposition is to oppose. And now that we have pulled the carpet under our feet, we must find something new to hang on. I am saying this so that Kenyans know that the opposition to the finance bill is majorly inspired by politics.
Pandisha bei ya mikate. Mwananchi wa kawaida ni bidhaa ambayo inatumika kwa kila boma. Kila boma asubuhi na jioni anatumia mikate. Wewe unaenda kuongeza ushuru wa mkate. Na mkifanya hivyo tutakunywa chai na mgoka kama ndio mnataka hivyo.
The controversial Finance Bill 2024 sails through the second reading and is going to be moving to the Committee of the Whole House. This is where amendments are going to be introduced. Focus shift to the members of parliament on the kind of amendments that they are going to propose and if these amendments are going to cool down the temperatures that have seen protests across the country. Daniel Kariuki, KTN News at the Parliament Buildings, Nairobi.
And thousands of youth, now famously referred to as Gen Z, today, or I should say yesterday, returned to the streets of Nairobi Central Business District for another round of demonstrations that began on Tuesday. For the better part of Thursday, the youthful protesters who hoped to protest peacefully in their march to Parliament were, however, engaged in running battles by police officers and had to brave tear gas and jets of water from the police water cannons, who were determined to ensure that the unhappy youth do not make their way to the August House. But as KTN's David Mudoka now reports, the demonstrators, who by sunset were still in the streets, have vowed to keep on protesting until the finance bill that was last evening passed by the Parliament is withdrawn and in its place tax-friendlier proposals put forward by the government.
At Kimathi Street in the Nairobi Central Business District, these were the scenes as youthful protesters, unhappy with the finance bill of 2024, ran for their lives. At the Kenyatta Avenue, another group of Gen Z protesters was also forced to scamper for safety for the better part of Thursday as police officers launched tear gas canisters in their direction. At Kaunda Street, protesters who sought to use the street to join Cardinal Otunga Street and then Parliament Road to sit outside the August House as their members of Parliament determined the fate of the finance bill this afternoon were a different breed. Not even the sight and the mighty jets of water from police water cannons deterred them as they kept surging forward while singing anti-government songs. Those who could not sing demonstrated in the best way they could, with placards carrying different messages to their members of parliament, the government, and President William Ruto, who endorsed the controversial finance bill on Tuesday. While they were not able to break free, the protesters gave the anti-riot police officers a hard time keeping them at bay, to a point where the officers sought to dialogue with the protesters.
We are not against paying taxes. We are against paying taxes which are irresponsible and things which don't help us. Come on, ongeza tax. Ongeza vitu zenye tunaona, infrastructure, all the services we need. Kama umeongeza tax, niende hospitali nipate madawa, nipate madaktari. Unaongeza alafu nakufia kwa nyumba juu sina dawa, hakuna madaktari. It doesn't make any sense.
This was the case at Kimathi Street at some point when protesters outnumbered and overwhelmed police officers who were in a pickup amid chants of "We are peaceful." The officers sped off with nobody even laying a finger on them.
So we are fighting for you all. We are not only fighting for Gen Zs. It's only that you're energetic. And the Bible says our parents will be seated while we fight for them. So we are fighting for our parents and those on wheelchairs, those old mamas who have to go to work. We are fighting for the whole of Kenya.
In most of the streets, police officers kept hurling tear gas canisters at them, with some of the protesters bearing the brand of the dangerous white smoke. Some police officers, too, desperately needed a breather. The confrontation ensued all day, and by sunset, it was checkmate in various streets where neither police officers nor the protesters were willing to make another move. For the better part of Thursday, this was the situation at the majority of streets leading to Parliament in the Nairobi Central Business District. Police officers had a hard time to control the surging crowds of protesters who are against the Finance Bill 2024 and the government of the day led by President William Ruto. David Muthoka, KTN News, Nairobi.
Meanwhile, President Ruto's hometown of Eldoret woke up to a rude shock as a large number of young protesters, commonly known as Gen Z, stormed the city, chanting, quote-unquote, Ruto must go. They were joined by small-scale traders, or Mama Mboga, in opposing the Finance Bill 2024, which proposes harsh tax measures. Our reporter, Finnick Olwach, has more.
Is the Finance Bill 2024 a blessing in disguise for Kenya, a country that is chronically known for grandstand political stands among the citizens and politics of division? If history is anything to go by, then this is a new dawn for Kenya, a nation united by common interest, a better country. This is Eldoret town, Uasin Gishu County, a stronghold of President William Ruto and his UDA party, a town that is his bedrock of politics. So thousands of protesters thronged the streets to join fellow Kenyans to oppose the Finance Bill 2024, majority of them being the youth. United by the skyrocketing cost of living and the added salt to injury, that is the Finance Bill 2024, the protesters urged the government to reconsider the Finance Bill 2024.
Ile maneno ambao wanatangaza na wanasema maneno ya uongo ambao nyuma ya tent ni tofauti. Kwa hivyo hii serikali tunaikasifu na kusema msikie mario ya wananchi. Kwa hivyo sisi wananchi hatutaki Finance Bill, tumeikataa.
Tulikupigia kura na MP wangu kutoka Soi DK. Ukipitisha hiyo bill, pita huko. Sisi tumechoka. Kama vijana sisi hatuna kazi. Tunahangaika, tunaapply kwenda ngambo. Kitu ambaye nataka niambie hii serikali. Hii serikali mnalazimisha vitu. Na vitu mkilazimisha, wananchi pia tutakataa.
These protests, which are now on a third-day streak, are led by young Kenyans, with the majority being Gen Z.
Wanataka kututax, hata the last cent that we have in our pockets is being taxed. So tunashanga, whose government is this? Public participation yanasemanga wanaleta the public kuparticipate. Tunashanga di kina nani hawa interest zao zinakuwa represented because CCC.
Please listen to this youth. If they have said they want to Finance Bill to be rejected, let it be rejected. Because we have heard them. Their concerns are very genuine, and we wish to ask all those MPs, including my good friend and Dean Denyoro, who is in the chair of budget. Please review all these things. If possible, reject the Finance Bill.
Some of the controversial taxes that the government has decided to eliminate include the 16% VAT on bread, transportation of sugar, financial services and foreign exchange transactions, as well as the 2.5% motor vehicle tax. The revised proposals also address the increase in mobile money transfer fees, excise duty on vegetable oil, and eco levy. The government now says that the eco levy will only be applied to imported finished products such as sanitary pads and diapers. But Kenyans, majority being the youth, want the bill rejected and dropped in its entirety. Finnick Olwach, KTN News.
And demonstrations continued apace in Nakuru town, where thousands of youth held peaceful protest, piling pressure on members of parliament to reject the Finance Bill 2024. The protests slightly interrupted businesses and the smooth flow of traffic for several hours, with hundreds of police officers from special units patrolling the city without any clashes. The peak of the protest was an attempt to storm the Nakuru State House, where officers used tear gas to disperse the protesters.
It is a scene that has not been seen for many years in Nakuru. A group of young protesters arriving outside Nakuru State House on trucks, throwing caution to the wind to present their grievances regarding this year's finance bill.
We went through it and we saw the ridiculous taxes that are going to be introduced. And as Gen Zs, we're just really tired. We have been quiet for the longest time.
With unusual bravery, this Generation Z youth arrived at the State House with banners bearing different messages for the president before GSU and RDU officers dispersed them using tear gas.
We'll be on the road severally until the president can listen to our pleas as the young people, because this bill affects us as the young people. We still have a lot, we still have a whole life ahead of us, but if the president continues with this draconian bill, it affects us in every way.
We've been here since 10 a.m. It has been peaceful. It's just the police came and they've disrupted the crowd, but we are still here. We are waiting for the voting and we'll still be here.
Earlier, the youth had marched to the city center of Nakuru, with the uniqueness of this protest being the discipline they maintained. There was no throwing of stones, looting of businesses, or even lighting of fires on the roads, as they demanded that members of parliament reject the controversial finance bill rather than amend it.
Tunasema reject and not amend. Tunakata amendments, let the bill go back, ianze factory reset.
Mimi ningekuomba tu Mheshimiwa Ruto, your economic advisors wako ndo wanakupoteza. Na tumechoka na hiyo bill isipitishwe.
As a youth, naweza taka in 5 years time or in 10 years time, I be somewhere. Lakini government inaweka policies ambazo zinafanya ile progress yangu inakuwa stagnated.
According to them, removal of some of the proposed taxes was a government plan to divert Kenyans' attention as they secretly shifted the taxes and levies to other goods and services in the new bill that was passed Thursday evening.
Zijaondolewa, tuambiane ukweli, walisema zimeondolewa kwa locally manufactured products. Nani anajua padata moja imetengenezewa Kenya? Nani anajua depata moja imetengenezewa Kenya? Hawatubebi ujinga. Zile tax ambazo wanaweka, these are basic needs. You're telling Kenyans you cannot afford basic needs.
Ruto anapaka scratches, man. Paka wheelchair, man. Enye Ruto, our president, tukakuchagua tu. No savi, man. Tukakuchagua. Tukasema ni maombi. Na hizi maombi. Hii ni uchawi.
Ken Gashuhi, KTN News.
And of course, finally, the Finance Bill 2024-2025 continues to elicit mixed reactions among Kenyans. And the former ruling party, KANU, through its national chairperson, Gideon Moi, has joined Kenyans in rejecting the bill in total. The stance has also been taken by other opposition parties, as our reporter, Frederick Oloch, reports.
Dissent, discontent and anger are just but a summary of the general feeling among Kenyans, especially the younger generation that for the third day running took to the streets in various parts of the country. Those opposed to it claim it is punitive and oppressive. Some of the contentious taxes that so far have been dropped by the government are the 16% VAT on bread, transportation of sugar, financial services, foreign exchange transactions, as well as the 2.5% motor vehicle tax. The reconsidered proposals were also the increase in mobile money transfer fees, excise duty on vegetable oil, and the eco levy that the government now says will only be imposed on imported finished products that include sanitary pads and diapers. But Kenyans are having none of it. The big question is Kenya's ability to produce its own sanitary pads and diapers. With the incapacity of Kenya to produce her own, this means a substantial increase in pricing of sanitary pads and diapers as the country relies heavily on imports. Several leaders have now thrown their weight behind the continuing protest, urging the government to drop the bill in its entirety as demanded by Kenyans. Supporting the calls, KANU party leader Gideon Moi in a statement has said, and I quote, "Economic experts agree that Kenya does not face a revenue problem but an expenditure issue. Increasing taxes in an attempt to address the budget deficit places an unnecessary burden on Kenyans. Therefore, the National Assembly must reject the Finance Bill 2024 in its entirety." The proposed amendments to clauses of the bill prescribing highly unpopular taxation measures have been cancelled out by other equally punitive proposals slipped into the bill. KRF fell short of its prescribed tax revenue despite aggressive taxation measures introduced by the Finance Bill 2023, indicating that higher tax rates do not necessarily result in higher tax revenue. To achieve economic prosperity, Kenya must prioritize industrialization over taxation to progressively expand the tax base. Phoenix Oluoch, KTN News.
All right, we take a short break right now. And of course, when we come back, we shall be looking into this more intensely with our panelists. Quick before Gen Z's voting 2027, this is the editorial cartoon that has been drawn today in the publication, that is the Daily Nation. And you can see there the big tom, which is the Finance Bill 2024 being shoved down the towers of Parliament. He says, quick. It seems maybe 2027 will be a different kettle of fish altogether. We're yet to see. All right, we flip over there to People Daily, and you can see the Finance Bill. That is the Finance Bill and the inferno there, the licking flames of protesters so far. They're firing on all cylinders, so to speak. And also Zakayo climbed down. Right, when we circle back, of course, we continue our pace with the conversation with the panelists here. You're watching Uongozi today here on Morning Prime. We take a short break. Don't go away. Much more on the other side of a break.